I'm Christina.
Hi, I'm Leah.
And this is Banning Chatty
Dead Reaction.
So, we have missed the last 2 weeks, and we had an episode last night of The Walking Dead. And we had the Morgan-centered hour-and-a-half episode. We had the previous episode where we found out that Rick made it home. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. And then we had the third episode, this past episode, which was kind of an Abraham, Sasha, Daryl kind of episode. So, to make it short and sweet so we can kind of get a few questions for each episode, we'll get right into it. Starting with the Morgan episode, what was your favorite scene from that episode?
My favorite scene from that episode?
I know it's been a few weeks.
I thought it was really cool how the whole time Morgan thinks he's locked in this cell. Yeah. And then come to find out, like, after, I don't know, maybe weeks or so, however long he had been there, that the cell had been open the whole time, and he could have escaped and left. And so I think that was a pretty cool scene. So that's probably my favorite.
Yeah. It was definitely a moment where you kind of got to see Morgan. Because it's been a while since we've seen Crazy Morgan, and it wasn't really a long thing. He was only in that one episode, or, it's been a while. So it was interesting to see, he's been this level-headed character for a while, and coming back in now, and we see why he is the way he is, why he doesn't want to kill the wolves.
Where he gets this whole like philosophy.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely interesting, and that part was definitely interesting, and I think it helped him be able to grow as a character.
And kind of maybe put his trust in some people. And I think sometimes in the episode with the wolves, he might be a little too trusting with some things. Like I said before, I think with the wolves, you need to kill or be killed because the wolves aren't messing around.
Right. They're going to kill you no matter what. And that guy said it after Morgan told his whole story.
So when you kind of hear Eastman's story and he's telling you about that, were you interested to hear the ending where, he was talking about how that man had killed, he killed his wife and daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The man had killed his wife and daughter, and he was trying to seek revenge on him, and he had locked him up in the cell for a while without food.
Yeah, basically killed him. It was definitely interesting, because at first you're like, oh, he didn't do that. You think, oh, he got turned into a zombie, it got taken care of. But then you learn that this was before the apocalypse even happened, years before. And so...
Right, because I was thinking it was, post-apocalypse, but it was pre, when all this went down with that guy.
Right. Yeah, so it was interesting, and it was interesting to see his character because he was able to relate with Morgan. And I think he saw that in Morgan that he was someone he could fix because he was like him in that way. And that's also why Morgan now has moved on to the wolf and thinks, oh, well, Eastman saved me, maybe I can save this guy. But Morgan and the wolf are in two totally, and even Eastman were all in totally different places of their lives. And especially now that the wolves have come so far, and in what they do, and it's interesting to see that they don't use guns either. So that was an interesting thing. Even though that last one picked up that gun, he doesn't have any more because Rick killed him. But it was interesting to see that he picked up that gun after he had told him that we don't use guns, and each single one had a different weapon and hacking people apart. It's more of a brutal death. They're not just killing them when you think about it. They're hacking them to pieces.
Right. And then they hang their limbs in those trucks like we saw in previous episodes.
Right. So it's not like with Rick when he's killing to protect his people, but they're killing to kill. Just to kill.
It just seems
there's no
they
purpose.
Enjoy it, and that's just what they want to do, and yeah. And of course, we have to mention the goat.
Oh my gosh, Tabitha! And it was sad. I literally cried when she died.
Another interesting thing about that episode is our last name is Basher, and when we were looking through the graveyard when they were burying those zombies that they had killed, one of the tombstones when he wrote their name said Basher.
Pretty interesting. Moving on to the next episode where we learned that Rick did in fact come back from whatever. We want to know how he escaped, but we're just glad Rick is back. Well, a lot of kissing happened in that episode. Rick kissed Jesse. He's kissed Tara. So there's a lot of romance going on. I feel like Aaron and Maggie had a special moment, like not romantically, but I think like almost like a brother-sister kind of bond. It's like a moment where he was there for Maggie, and you know, she opened up to him, and nobody else knows that she's pregnant, obviously, and except for Glenn. Aaron is I think he's a really awesome character, and I'd like to see where his story is going to continue to go, because he's got such a cool personality. Like, I don't know, I just feel like Daryl opened up to him, so it's like, you know, all these people opening up. So anyway, on to my question for you. What do you think about all those walkers outside of Alexandria? Like, we have Sasha and Abraham and I keep wanting to say Norman, Daryl, stuck outside of that fence, and you know, Rick says in there, like, when they come back, they'll be able to draw them out. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, having seen the episode following, I kind of have an idea of what they might do, since Abraham picked up some pretty cool weapons that would definitely attract walkers. But, I mean, plus they still have flares and things too, which could come in handy to lead the walkers away. So, I mean, I'm sure they have some tricks up their sleeves to get them from the doors. What did you think of the scene where Deanna attempted to kill her first walker?
The whole time I'm like, the head.
Right?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting moment to show that she did want to still be alive, but she also knew that she couldn't do it without Rick's help, and that she needed him to be a leader there, and that if it was just her leading, then that the people would die. And I think that's true. I think that they're both important, though, because Deanna has led this group for a long time, and she's got more of that that humanity still left in her, so she can kind of bring him back. Like when Rick wants to, let's do this, and it's like, well, Rick, that's great, but let's do this instead because it's a little bit more, you know, we're still humans, and we still have to remember that. But because Rick and his group were out there for so much for as much time as they were, you know, Deanna never had to go through that, none of her group, and so I think they kind of bring a new side of humanity in this apocalypse to
what you need to do to survive.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I definitely think they need to have both Rick and Deanna leading. Deanna has the trust of the Alexandrians already, and Rick has the trust of his group. Rick has, you know, Rick's kind of like, you know, the military leader. He puts the plans together for all those kind of things, and, you know, trains them with weapons and stuff, because they all definitely need, as we saw, you know, from what happened last episode, definitely need to be trained in something, because you never know what could happen. Because, like I said before, the walkers aren't the only threat. You have, as you saw, wolves and, you know, whoever else is out there. So,
right.
But
yeah, it's definitely interesting to see.
Plus, Deanna is very knowledgeable in, like, you know, growing the food and trying to get things like that set up within the town, and things like that. Like her husband Reg were trying to set up before.
Well, and she finally realized how important Rick was. I think that she still had some feelings of like, yeah, we know we want him to be here because he's definitely helped, but she realized she can't do it without him and his group.
And by the way, so jealous of Jesse kissing Rick.
Yes. Little special moment. I think it was great though, because Rick has not. It's good to see that he still has that side to him, because he could become so overwhelmed with like hate for people and not being able to trust people that he could lose that. And so, you know, to be able to see him to kiss Jesse and to kind of open up to her in that way, I think it was really a special moment.
And it kind of seems like her kids, you know, Ron is kind of warming up to Rick a little bit, unless he's playing him. But
I don't know. I think it's important.
We'll see how that plays out.
So, also,
about it real quick.
We found a big shocker out in this the second episode we were talking about.
Maggie's pregnant.
Yeah, pretty. And finding out that Glenn knew, and that's why he was trying to make it back to her makes it 10 times
and didn't
sadder.
want her to go out too, and made sure that she stayed. Which the only reason they gave in the previous episode for her staying was to help with Deanna. But come to find out, there was another reason behind it.
It was a super sad, but like, it's a good moment because it's both, especially in that. I mean, in any world, it's a tough thing to have a kid, but especially in this world because you see how hard. Although everyone contributes with Judith, like there's not a moment where, I mean, in this world, a child could not feel loved or whatever. But it's almost like it's better with them growing up in this world because, you know, they don't know a world before, so they're not like wishing it could be like it. It's almost like in The Last of Us, like Ellie, her character in that doesn't know. Like Joel makes us at one point says, "Oh, I miss coffee," and she's like, "Oh, well, how does it? You know, what does it taste like?" or something like that. You know, so it's like they don't know what it used to be like, and their worries are staying alive, whereas, you know, like other people, like Sasha, when she has that blow up moment when they're like, "What can I make you? I want to make you something that you like," and she's like, "This is what you worry about." Like they don't have to have that worry about what the world used to be like. So it's almost better to me, but also hard when they're little, you know, especially if they're on the run. Let's hope they stay in Alexandria until after Maggie has the baby and all that. But anyway, on to the last episode from this past week. We saw some interesting things happen this past episode.
All right, well, this was the Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl centric episode.
Which, by the way, my name was in it, but my character died. Tina died. My family calls me Tina.
Yeah, so we have a couple of new people, and we saw a new kind of group, maybe. Do you think that they were rid of those two people that were there messing with Daryl?
I think absolutely not. I think that at the end, it kind of almost seemed like they were going to go back to the group. Like, they were like, we have no choice or whatever. But then, like, I don't know. I was confused because
they were kind of playing the
right.
whole time,
And, like, Daryl is not that guy that he was in that episode last night. So for him to be that guy was awesome to see that he stepped up and he, you know, and so I was like, oh, these people, like, they better, like, be grateful. And then he went back, he saved him, he you know, he saved him from those people coming back, he brought the medication back to the girl, then he killed those two walkers. Like, he was stepping up. He was gonna bring him back to Alexandria, and then they took his bike and his crossbow, and it was almost, I don't know, it made me upset because then it was like, you're proving a point that there's no other people out here that can be saved. Like, because Rick says, no more, we're not going to go look for any more in a previous episode. And Daryl's like, why? Like, he was upset about it. And so, this, I think, can kind of maybe make...
Most people by now are kind of, like, set in their ways, I guess, and just how they survive and what they're doing and what groups they're with. Yeah,
so I don't think we've seen the last of them. They've survived a long time, so obviously they know what they're doing. Interesting. It was an interesting episode to see Daryl in this place. And question for you, Sasha and Abraham. What?
I kind of didn't really see that coming.
I didn't either.
But I don't know. Seems like it could be interesting. Honestly, I don't really feel. I kind of feel like it's kind of one-sided. Like Abraham was like, oh well, Sasha kind of like, you know, she kind of got to me. Like, I can kind of see where she's coming from, you know, and maybe he feels like Sasha wants to help him, which I believe Sasha does, but I don't think Sasha's really into it in that way. And then she made the point, you know, like, well, you got stuff to take care of.
Right.
Probably most likely meeting Rosita, but what's going to go on with that?
Right. Like, the way she said that, like, she could have said, you know, what are you doing, Abraham? No.
Yeah,
but
she never really said no. She did
say, you got things to take care of, meaning, obviously, Rosita.
And who knows? She's probably in a vulnerable spot. She lost her brother. She lost her lover, Bob. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, she might just kind of be like, I'll take whoever at this point, you know.
Abraham's pretty beefy. He's pretty nice. The mustache got it going for him.
Although he's kind of in a weird
He's a weird...
spot.
Well, I think he had a breakthrough in this episode. I think screaming at the zombie helped. It was like zombie therapy.
Yeah, I think he might be coming back.
Walker thing. Last but not least, talking about the radio. Gibbs, we have some thoughts. It didn't really sound like anybody we knew. But also going back to who still had walkie-talkies. You had Rick who had one. Daryl had one, but we're pretty sure it was left in the bag. So it could be blonde dude who Daryl saved. It also could be Glenn. Hopefully. That's who I'm hoping it is. Crying out for help. So if you guys
Although I did see an interview where Norman Reedus kind of gave some spoilers and said it is not Glenn. So who knows if he's pulling her leg or not. But
Norman Reedus
could be messing with us.
Well, if you have any thoughts, you guys can comment below or follow us on Twitter and use the hashtag #DeadReaction. And let us know who you think it might be on the other end of that walkie-talkie.
If there's any other points you want us to discuss in videos to come that you might want to know our thoughts on or get your thoughts in on, post them in the comments as well, or tweet them to us. And we'll talk about them in other videos.
Yeah, someone actually commented on our video from the last few weeks ago, saying that they think Enid would be the one to save Glenn because she's actually on the outside of the fence. So interesting point. Depending on where Enid is heading with all these herds of walkers. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can like and subscribe for more. We hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you.
Give us some thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe,
all the above. Alright, for Randy Chatty, I'm Christina.
And I'm Leah.
And remember,
keep chatting and watching The Walking Dead.